Rub plantain on bites or wounds. Grandpa always said, if it itches or stings, look down. Wild plantain, that broad-leafed weed growing in fields and trails, is a powerful natural remedy for bug bites, bee stings, cuts, and scrapes. To use it, pick a few clean leaves, crush them between your fingers or chew slightly, and apply the juicy pulp directly to the skin. Plantain contains allantoin and anti-inflammatory compounds that soothe irritation, draw out toxins, and support healing. It's easy to find, especially in disturbed soil and footpaths, and works quickly in the field when you're without a first aid kit. Keep it on hand during hikes or wilderness trips. It's free, effective, and often overlooked. Once the bite is soothed and your skin calms down, the next step in survival is filling your belly. And there's a rugged, reliable method that doesn't require a single pan. Cook food on hot flat stones. No skillet? No problem. You can cook a full meal using nothing more than a flat, dry stone and a solid fire. Select a stone that's at least an inch thick and place it near or over the fire, not directly in the flames, to heat evenly for about 15 to 20 minutes. Avoid river rocks or wet stones, which may crack or even explode. Once hot, cook thin meats, fish, eggs, or bannock right on the surface. A light coating of fat or oil, if available, helps prevent sticking. This method evenly distributes heat and keeps your food off the dirt or ash. It's a proven way to get a warm meal without gear, especially when time and tools are limited. Once you've satisfied your hunger, you might find yourself in need of something that not only lights fires, but also seals wounds, and it just might be dripping from the nearest tree. Tree sap for fire, glue, wounds. Grandpa always called tree sap nature's emergency kit. Pine, spruce, or fir trees release a sticky resin that's useful in more ways than one. To collect, make a shallow slice in the bark and let the sap drip into a leaf or onto a stick. Once it hardens, you can warm it to use as fire starter. It burns hot and long even when wood is damp. For adhesive needs, heat the sap and mix with charcoal dust or ash to make a strong, primitive glue. In a pinch, dab a small amount of clean sap on minor cuts to seal and disinfect wounds, thanks to its natural antimicrobial properties. Always harvest sparingly to avoid harming the tree. Whether you're cold, broken down, or bleeding, a drop of sap goes a long way. Now that your fire's burning and tools are fixed, it's time to think about where to ride out the weather. Shelter under thick evergreen trees. When caught without a tent or tarp, evergreen trees offer one of the best natural shelters. Look for dense pine, spruce, or fir trees with full branches that reach close to the ground. These trees naturally block wind, rain, and snow, and the area beneath them is often dry and insulated. Clear out fallen needles, then lay down pine boughs or leaves for insulation. Tuck yourself close to the trunk for maximum coverage and warmth. This type of shelter is especially valuable in colder climates, offering both camouflage and wind protection. It's quick, free, and often more effective than a hastily built lean-to. Choose a tree on higher ground to avoid runoff, and you've got yourself a reliable place to rest. And once your shelter is set, securing food becomes your next move, and there's a timeless way to trap it with nothing more than sticks and stone. Build deadfall trap with rocks, sticks. A deadfall trap is a classic way to catch small game when food is scarce. Start by finding a flat, heavy rock or thick log, along with 2 sticks. One as a support, the other as a notch trigger. Balance the rock carefully so the slightest bump will collapse it. Place bait like berries, nuts, or meat scraps beneath the edge. When an animal disturbs the trigger, the rock falls instantly. Set traps near known game trails or small clearings, and always test your trigger a few times before leaving it set. It takes practice to master, according to Grandpa, but once learned, it's a reliable tool for survival. Check traps frequently and follow local laws if not in a survival situation. With this setup, you'll be hunting on instinct and resourcefulness alone, no rifle required. And once the food is cooking, don't forget, nature provides more than meals if you know where to look. Use thorns or bones as needles. In the wild, losing your gear doesn't mean losing your ability to repair it. Thorns and small animal bones can be sharpened and used as makeshift needles to stitch clothing, fabric, or even leather. Look for long, rigid thorns from trees like hawthorn or black locust. Use a sharp stone or knife to shape the tip and gently pierce a hole through one end to thread sinew, grass, or string. For bones, small bird bones work well. Clean them thoroughly, grind one end to a point, and bore a tiny hole for threading. While primitive, these tools are remarkably strong and effective for mending essential items. If you have no thread, strips of bark or animal sinew can do the trick. In survival, staying dry and warm often comes down to simple stitching. And once your clothes are patched and ready, your next concern might be far more vital. Clean, drinkable water. Dig solar still to collect water. When you're in a survival situation without clean water, a solar still can literally save your life. Choose a sunny, flat area and dig a hole about 2 feet wide and 1 foot deep. Place a container or cup at the center. Then add moist leaves, green plants, or even urine around the cup to provide moisture. Cover the hole with clear plastic or a tarp, sealing the edges with rocks or soil. Finally, place a small stone in the center of the cover so it sags above the cup. As the sun heats the interior, moisture evaporates from the plant material, condenses on the plastic, and drips into the cup. Check back after 4 to 6 hours to collect drinkable water. It's slow but steady, often producing up to a pint a day. When the sun is your only tool, this simple trick turns heat into hydration. And as night falls, you'll want fuel to keep warm, sometimes even from the most unexpected source. Burn dry dung for emergency fire, out in the open with no firewood. Dry animal dung, especially from herbivores like cows, horses, or deer, makes for excellent emergency fuel according to Grandpa. It's widely used in off-grid and desert communities for this reason. First, collect old, dry dung, which should feel firm and crumbly, not wet or fresh. Let it sit in the sun to dry further if needed. Once dry, pile it like you would wood and light it with tinder or a hot coal. It burns slow, steady, and produces enough heat to cook or warm up by. Though it smells slightly when burning, it's smoke light and incredibly effective in treeless areas or after heavy rain when wood is soaked. This method has been used for centuries where wood is scarce. It's not glamorous, but when survival is the goal, practicality wins every time. And speaking of safety, what you put into your body is next, especially when water is questionable. Filter water with charcoal, sand, cloth. If you need to filter dirty water in the wild, a DIY water filter made from simple materials can reduce sediment and bacteria. Start with a clean container, like a plastic bottle or hollow log. Layer the materials from bottom to top. Cloth, like a t-shirt. Crushed charcoal, fine sand, coarse sand, and gravel. Pour the water through slowly, letting it trickle down through each layer. The charcoal helps absorb impurities and odors, while the sand and gravel remove debris. Let the filtered water collect into a separate container. Always boil or disinfect the final water to kill pathogens before drinking. While not perfect, this multi-layered filter improves water quality drastically and is a must-know in emergency scenarios. With clearer water in hand, your next priority is finding the source, because where there's water, there's usually life, and sometimes life leaves footprints behind. Follow animal tracks downhill to water. When you're lost and need water, look for animal tracks, especially those of deer, raccoons, or birds, which often lead to water sources. Wildlife typically moves downhill toward creeks, springs, or ponds. Find a well-worn trail or repeated hoofprints and begin following them downhill, watching for signs like mud patches, crushed grass, or droppings. Be especially alert during early morning or dusk, when animals are most active. If the tracks are fresh and lead into a ravine or valley, chances are high that water is near. You can also listen for the sound of trickling water or observe increased insect activity, which often signals moisture. This age-old survival trick is based on the natural instincts of animals. If they've found a safe source, you can too. Just be cautious and boil any water you collect. Twist inner bark into strong cordage. When string or rope is out of reach, the inner bark of certain trees like basswood, cedar, or willow can be twisted into strong, flexible cordage. First, carefully peel away the rough outer bark to expose the smooth, fibrous layer beneath. Strip long sections and soak them in water for a few hours to make them pliable. Take 2 strands, twist each clockwise individually, then twist them together counterclockwise to form a 2-ply cord. This tension holds the fibers tightly, creating a durable rope that can secure shelters, bundles, or even act as a bowstring. For added strength, braid multiple cords together. As the fibers dry, they stiffen and hold their shape. In the wild, having a reliable cordage can mean the difference between success and struggle. It's one of the most versatile materials you can make by hand. And once you've got things tied down, it's time to think about where and how you'll gather water without a stream in sight. Collect dew with cloth at dawn. When standing water is scarce, dew becomes a crucial water source, especially just before sunrise when it's most abundant. Take a clean cloth, shirt, or even moss, and drag it gently across grass, leaves, or smooth rocks, letting it absorb the dew. Once soaked, wring the moisture into a container or directly into your mouth. Repeat the process, targeting shaded, grassy areas that collect more condensation overnight. Even in arid regions, dew can yield a surprising amount of water, especially after cool nights. Use multiple cloths to gather more quickly. While not enough for long-term hydration alone, dew collection can buy you precious time and help you stay alert and focused. Every drop counts when you're off-grid. After hydrating from the air itself, it's worth preparing for life's little accidents, because in the wilderness, even a minor wound needs an unexpected but effective seal. Seal small wounds using spider webs. Amazingly, spider webs can act as a natural bandage when traditional supplies are out of reach. Look for large, dense webs in corners of trees or between rocks. Gently collect the web using a stick or clean hands, being mindful not to disturb the spider too much. Apply the web directly onto small cuts, scratches, or abrasions. The fine silk helps to close the wound, reduce bleeding, and protect it from dirt. Spider silk contains mild antibacterial properties and has been used traditionally to promote clotting and healing. Once applied, press it down gently and cover with a leaf or cloth wrap if available. It's a temporary fix, but effective in the moment. Nature often provides quiet, unexpected tools like this, and knowing how to use them keeps you one step ahead. Speaking of nature's surprises, the next protein-packed snack is hiding just beneath the bark, waiting to be found. Find grubs inside rotten wood logs. When food is scarce, grubs and insect larvae can offer essential protein in a survival situation. Look for soft, rotting logs or stumps, especially near moist, shaded areas. Use a stick or stone to pry open the wood, watching for white, plump larvae squirming inside. Grubs from beetles or wood-boring insects are safe to eat when cooked over a fire, which also improves taste and reduces the risk of parasites. Simply skewer them or cook in a pan with heated rocks. Their nutrient density rivals that of meat, making them one of the best wild food sources. Eat only what you can confirm is safe. Avoid bright-colored or foul-smelling insects. In a true emergency, a handful of grubs could sustain your energy until help or better food is found. Once your belly's full, don't forget, tracking water flow could help you find your way out of a tough spot. Float leaf shows water flow direction. In wilderness survival, knowing which direction water is flowing can help you locate settlements, navigate terrain, or simply follow a creek downstream to safety. A quick way to tell? Drop a lightweight dry leaf onto the surface of a slow-moving stream or puddle. The leaf will drift gently with the current, revealing the flow direction even when it's not obvious. This trick is especially useful when terrain is flat or when you're disoriented. If you're unsure whether a larger body of water is moving at all, toss multiple leaves in different spots. Watch for the one that travels. This technique can also help you identify the best spot to collect clean water or avoid stagnant pools. It's a small observation that can guide a big decision. In survival, subtle signs like this often point the way, and once you know the flow, it may lead you to the next chance at food, shelter, or rescue. Use sharp rocks to cut things. In the absence of a knife, sharp rocks can become your most reliable tool. Look for flakes of flint, obsidian, quartz, or chert, stones known for their ability to break with razor-like edges. To shape one, strike a larger rock with a harder one at a precise angle until it splits into thin, jagged shards. These flakes can be used to cut rope, skin animals, whittle wood, or even prepare food, Hold the sharpest edge between your fingers, being careful of slippage, and use a steady sawing or slicing motion. For better grip, wrap the base in cloth, bark, or plant fiber. Primitive cutting tools like these have been used for thousands of years. They're simple, effective, and free. Once you've got a good blade, your next challenge might be boiling water. And there's a way to do that with no metal pot at all. Just stones, heat, and a little care. Boil water using hot fire rocks. Even without a metal pot, you can still boil water to make it safe to drink using hot rocks and a heat-resistant container. First, build a fire and place dry, dense stones like granite or basalt into the flames. Let them heat for 15 to 20 minutes. While the rocks are heating, fill a wooden bowl, hollowed log, or folded bark container with water. Once the rocks are glowing hot, use tongs or two sticks to carefully transfer them into the water. They'll hiss and steam, heating the liquid and bringing it to a boil. Rotate the rocks in and out as needed to maintain the temperature for at least 5 minutes to kill bacteria. Avoid using wet or river rocks, which can crack or explode when heated. This technique turns nature's raw materials into life-saving gear. Once your water's clean, let nature's smaller signs guide you to even more of it. Ants and bees lead to water. Wildlife often knows where water hides, even when it's invisible to you. Insects like ants and bees are excellent indicators. Bees rarely travel far from a water source. If you see them flying in a straight path, especially in the morning, they may be returning from a drink. Follow them calmly and patiently. Likewise, lines of ants often lead toward damp soil, puddles, or hidden crevices that hold moisture. Look for increased insect traffic on warm days, especially along rocks and logs. Termite mounds or wasp nests near the base of trees may also hint at nearby water. Don't get too close. Observe from a safe distance. These signs can help you find seeps, dew-rich plants, or underground springs, even when no stream is visible. Once you've spotted the clues and located a source, you may need to reorient yourself, because knowing where you are is just as critical as staying hydrated. Stick and shadow show true direction. No compass? No problem. The sun and a stick can help you find cardinal directions with nothing but the ground beneath your feet. Begin by planting a straight stick vertically into the soil on a sunny day. Mark the tip of the stick's shadow with a small stone or scratch. This is west. Wait 15 to 20 minutes. Then mark the new shadow tip. That's east. Draw a line between the 2 points. This is your east-west line. Stand with west to your left and east to your right, and you'll now face north. This simple method uses the sun's consistent movement across the sky to give you orientation. It's especially helpful when traveling through dense forest or unfamiliar terrain. Knowing your direction can guide your decisions and might be the key to finding your way back to camp or civilization. Once you've set your bearings, it's time to get some rest, and rest wisely. Sleep on pine boughs for insulation. Sleeping directly on the ground in the wild can drain your body heat fast, especially during cold nights. To stay warm and dry, build a natural mattress using fresh pine boughs or dry, leafy branches. Gather thick, flexible layers and pile them at least 6 to 8 inches deep, creating a barrier between your body and the cold soil. Arrange them in a crisscross pattern for better insulation and airflow. If available, add a top layer of dry leaves, grass, or moss for extra comfort. Pine needles contain natural oils that repel insects and smell fresh, making them an excellent base. This bed acts like natural insulation, trapping heat and preventing moisture from seeping into your clothing or sleeping bag. In survival, rest is not just comfort, it's energy for the next day's challenges. And when you're properly rested and warm, your mind stays sharp for the next move nature demands. Sleep with hot stone for warmth. When temperatures drop, even a small fire may not be enough to keep you warm through the night. A time-tested trick is to heat a dry, dense stone in your campfire for 15 to 20 minutes. Then let it cool, just enough to handle. Wrap the hot rock in cloth, moss, or bark and place it near your core, under your blanket, or at your feet. It radiates heat slowly, warming your shelter or sleeping bag through the night. Avoid using river stones, which may contain moisture and crack or explode when heated. Place the wrapped stone in your bed before you sleep to preheat the area or hug it to stay warm in frigid temperatures. It's a simple, gear-free survival heater that can make the difference between a cold night and a restful one. Once your body is warm and rested, you'll want to keep your skin protected too, even if that means getting a little dirty. Cover skin with mud, repel bugs. Grandpa used to say, if you're itchy, go find some dirt. And he meant it. When bug spray isn't an option, mud is nature's insect repellent. Find clean, wet soil, preferably from a stream bank or moist patch of ground, and slather a thin layer over your arms, legs, neck, and face. Let it dry slightly, forming a barrier between your skin and biting insects like mosquitoes, black flies, or gnats. The mud masks your scent and creates a physical shield, especially effective in dense, buggy areas near water. It also provides some UV protection during long sun exposure. Just avoid mud near animal droppings or contaminated areas. Reapply as needed, especially after sweating or swimming. Not glamorous, but it works, and Grandpa swore by it on long treks. Once your skin's safe and shielded, it's time to focus on another priority, leaving a trail if you plan to return or want to be found. Mark trail with rocks or branches. When you venture off trail, whether scouting, hunting, or foraging, it's smart to mark your route clearly so you can retrace your steps or help rescuers find you. Use piles of rocks, cairns, broken branches, or bent saplings placed at eye level or near decision points, like forks in a path. Create a consistent signal, such as 3 stacked stones or branches laid in an arrow shape, so you know it's yours. Check behind you occasionally to ensure your markers are visible from both directions. Avoid disturbing wildlife or plants more than necessary. In dense forest or brush, tie pieces of cloth or bark strips to branches at regular intervals. Trail marking not only prevents you from getting lost, it gives peace of mind. And if night starts to fall and the cold sets in, it's time to think about your fire. With the right fuel and Grandpa's know-how, it doesn't take much to spark warmth. Start fire with pine needles, bark. Grandpa always taught that fire starts with knowing your fuel. Dry pine needles and bark are some of the best natural fire starters around. Look for brown, crispy pine needles, never green, and peel off thin, papery bark from birch or cedar trees, which ignite easily. Form a small bundle of this fine tinder, about the size of a tennis ball. Create a teepee shape with dry twigs above the bundle and light it from the bottom. The oils in pine needles and bark burn hot and fast, giving your fire a quick start. Add slightly larger sticks gradually, building a strong flame. Avoid smothering the flame too early. Feed it gently. Grandpa always said the best fires start small and steady. Once you've built your heat and light, take a moment to look skyward, because sometimes the birds above offer clues that lead you back home. Birds flying low often lead home. Grandpa used to watch the birds before he watched the compass. Birds, especially swallows, sparrows, and crows, often fly low and direct when returning to their nests or food sources. In the early morning or evening, watch for flocks flying in a consistent direction. If you're near civilization, they often head toward farms, water, or forest clearings where people are active. Migratory patterns might point elsewhere, but local birds tend to keep regular paths. Follow their direction with caution. It won't always be a straight shot, but it's a smart lead when you're trying to find your way back. Birds also gather near water sources, another survival bonus. Grandpa's quiet advice still echoes on the trail. If you're lost, follow something that knows where it's going. For more contents like this, click here to subscribe.